those ones, okay? But the first thing I'm going to do is on this guitar here, I'm going to remove a couple strings. So obviously, because I took this from your room, it's already missing a string, all right? So we're going to take off another one. This is the A. And you can always hit it so you know if you're going the wrong way. Which way should it sound when I'm untuning it, when I'm turning it down? It should go lower, right? And so it goes lower and lower and lower. So finally it's like that. Then I get my finger up to here, and I can pry this string off. See how I'm pulling this up along the edge here? It's wrapped a couple times, and voila, it's out. And usually most of these guitars are what they call body through styles. That means the string goes through the body. They do that for sustain. So you just turn the guitar over, push this thing out through the hole. Famous last words. They got nicked. It's supposed to push through the hole. This is my guitar. Let's see what's supposed to matter. Oh, it's been crimped. Oh, here it goes. Alright, so see that? See how that went through the hole? Now, some of these strings have colors for what they are, but it's funny because different companies use different colors, but generally, once you use a certain kind of string, you know that red is that second string. Okay? I'm going to pull that through, and now I've got two strings off. We're not going to string the whole guitar here, it's kind of boring. We're going to string a couple strings, okay? So, just to tell you this, alright, and on your notes, I think it says the first string is a E. Did it say that? I'm not looking. It's called an E. Alright, so that's an E string, okay? Alright. So, the next string, well, we'll talk about the E string. So I'm going to get out a set of strings. There we go. And I'm going to put these on, all right? So that's the thickest one. So when you get out a box of strings and go to get them, they generally come wrapped individually. Sometimes they'll wrap two together. This happens to be two together. So see that says first and fourth? Next one says second and fifth. What do you think of the third and sixth? Okay. The sixth string, I think, is the biggest one. Okay. The first string is the skinniest. So if we look at the first string, see how very skinny that is? So this is first and fourth. So you can tell when they talk about the first, that's going to be the skinniest string. See how this is skinny string and this is fourth? See how that's thicker? Everybody see that? See that? One's thicker, one's thinner. Okay, so we're going to pull out which one? We're going to pull out the third and sixth, and we're going to put that sixth string on. Okay?
Do you have a favorite brand?
I like Super Slinkies for electric guitars. I generally like, the big thing is going to be called the gauges, all right? So most shredders are like these really fast guys. They want to go really thin gauge, like .009, and if you look at the numbers, see how that gives a number? That's the gauge. That's how thick it is, .009. It goes up to .042 or .42, and that's millimeters, and that's how thick the string is. So 42 would be this thing here, the thick one, and 009 would be that first string really skinny. Okay, so here's the problem, and in management, whatever you guys can decide what you want to do, the thinner the string, the easier it is to break. So if we go a little bit thicker, I usually, in the music stores, like I deal with Guitar Center, we do their contracts, we usually put 10s, so that's the skinniest we go. But if the guys are really, you know, like a wizard shredder, they like to go the skinniest they can. There's actually an 8, I don't really ever use those, but I would say we're going to go with the 10. So always look for the lowest number, and that'll tell you. If it's a 9, it's a very skinny set of strings. 10 is pretty much a standard set. Now these are electric guitar strings. When we start talking about acoustic guitar, because there's that, it's usually a 12, so they're thicker. That's because it's a strumming guitar, it's not a lead guitar. But I think what you got in there is more electric guitar, so we're going to go with those ones first. All right, so we're looking at these strings. Where's my 6? I said there, okay. So we get this out, and we can obviously in this packaging see the difference, all right? So everybody's going to tell me which one's the 6th and which one's the 3rd. Pick it out. Third. Okay, we all agree with that? Nobody's arguing? Okay. All right. So we take the string, and the biggest thing you want to do when you string the guitar is you want to create a situation where you don't have any big kinks. Because if you put a kink in the string, you bend the wire really sharp, that's what will break long term. So you don't want to do anything where you're bending it ahead of time or anything else like that. So I got to stick this thing through the backside and get through this part. I'm going to be blind as a bat, but see now this is called a whammy bar in the slang circles, but it's called a tremolo bar by professionals. But see this block here? This has springs on it, and if you put a tremolo thing on it, see how that goes like that and it moves? That's so a guy can make a vibrato sound. I don't know where the little handle is gone, but the bottom line is the string goes through the metal part. So I'm going to push this through right now, and I'm through. And this is called the saddle. And you see how it's got a slot there? You want to make sure it lays down in that slot, okay? So we lay the string out. Big thing is no sharp turns, okay? See how that is? All right? You'll see that. Now this is kind of interesting because this saddle has that. See how it kind of grabs it? So when we tighten it, that thing's going to actually go lower in the saddle. But here's where all the action happens, up here at the tuning head. This is called the tuning head. And then basically the tuning key's right here. And what you want to do is all these strings want to be on that inside, coming in, turning clockwise, okay? So that's the way we're going to turn it. So generally what I do is I turn this to where I can see the hole, which you can see the hole in the post going that way. So it's like a halfway point, okay? All right. Now, what you do is you run the string through here. And I got the holder, yeah, okay? So now my string's through. Now I'm going to talk to you about the windings. The goal is to have a couple windings going around the post, okay? We don't want to have 6 or 7 windings, because what happens with that, then the guitar doesn't stay in tune very well because it's always kind of stretching. 2 to 3 is the max, and I've even got guys that go on tour with some of these guitars, and they'll just do like as tight as they can do. But we're going to go about to this height here. I'll show you what I mean. So in other words, we got the string here, all right, and we're going to pull it to about this height here. Okay, does everybody see that there? That should give me about 2 windings, okay? Now at some point I got to make a commitment so it doesn't come out. Now what you do is you pull this guy on up, all right? And I've created that moment. Now what's going to happen, if I hold this guy tight and I start to turn this guy, I also want to feed it like this. So I've got this guy straight up, so it's set. And then I use my hand here, and this is the way I'm holding it like this, and I'm creating the tension. So the idea is that as you feed the string on, you don't want to be loose, you want to have it completely, a little bit of tension. So the idea is that it's rolling on there nice, and you're not doing a thing where all of a sudden all this weight, as soon as you start moving, goes to the line. So again, look at that move. I've got my 2 fingers underneath here, I'm holding it like this is like that, and that's giving the tension. Now it slipped out of the slot because I wasn't paying attention, so I'm going to pull it back, get it to where it was, and bend it up. And this is going to give us a couple windings on the thing, not just one. I'm going to go a little bit closer. So I do this, I bring it in, and I'm pulling up tight here, and now I'm going to get less windings on it. But you see how I got that? Everybody see that? Okay. All right. So now with that like that, I start, and I'm actually going to do this. I'm going to go down here on the thing, because one of the things you want to do is, once it's around there, you want all the windings to go underneath the first knot. So here's the thing going through the hole. We want all our windings to go underneath, so I start spinning this guy. And I do have a thing which I never use, but this is called a guitar spinner thingy. And you do this, and it goes a lot faster rather than me turning it by hand. Do you see how I do that? Okay, and I'm turning it tighter, tighter, and then all of a sudden, I start hearing your tone. Okay, so that is a string strum, all right? Is there any art to it? I don't know, but there you go. All right, so that's one, all right? We're going to do the A string. Now I'll show you a couple tools you should have or have around is a wire cutter. Blue guy right here. And what you can do is once you got it up to tension, you can go ahead and snip this guy off. Okay?